First and foremost, we'd like to say thank you to everybody. Whoop, getting a little feedback. You okay? All right. Thank you to everybody that came out today. We appreciate your attendance for this.
Amid the coronavirus pandemic, a group of armed protesters gathered at the Alamo in late April. But they were not protesting stay-at-home orders. They weren't protesting economic hardship as a result of stay-at-home orders.
What we're against is them moving the tomb, the monument, to the defenders from one end to the other and moving it off the battleground.
That's Randy Beal, a director with This Is Texas Freedom Force. The group calls itself the protector of all things Texan.
The main thing is the construction work is still going on, and they are listed as non-essential workers.
That's actually not true. Construction work is considered essential by the Department of Homeland Security. In a statement to Texas Public Radio, the city said it expects all construction workers to abide by social distancing and face-covering measures. The construction itself is part of a multi-million-dollar Alamo master plan. It's intended to make the area more closely resemble the original battlefield. This protest isn't really about construction on the main grounds. Several protesters say they don't even mind that. It's really about the cenotaph.
Well, we don't care about the construction or the whatever they're doing in the Alamo. We're not against the entire reimagined plan. Well, our ultimate goal is to tell them, look, we're not moving the cenotaph. We're leaving it alone.
The Alamo cenotaph was built in 1936. I grew up in the San Antonio area, and the cenotaph is actually best known for an incident involving Ozzy Osbourne.
Osbourne was arrested for public intoxication and for urinating in public the night before a concert at Hemisphere Arena. Ozzy didn't urinate on the main building, but on a cenotaph, a 60-foot stretcher across the street. We spoke with fans who say,
anyway, it's not part of the original battlefield. It was built 100 years after the Mexican army defeated the Texan rebels in the Battle of the Alamo. The Texans eventually formed their own country, which is now part of the United States. So, why do these protesters care about the cenotaph?
The bottom line is this. The Alamo is not a place to be reimagined. It's a place to be respected and remembered, and that's it.
David Ahmad is the vice president of Open Carry Texas, a group that helped organize the protest.
Now, nobody has a problem with them coming along and improving the place, maintaining it, keeping it up, making it a little bit better. But they're not. And let me make this clear. I'm not protesting against. I am going to prevent them from turning this into some commercialized Disneyland profit-making scheme. There's no problem with tourists coming here to see it, because it is an important thing. But they need to do so with the proper respect and reverence. And to turn this into something that's designed to be commercialized and make money and turn a profit for the state, rather than to be the sacred holy ground that it is, well, we're just not gonna allow that to happen.
Again, the goal of the Alamo Master Plan is to get the area to more closely resemble the original battleground. The cenotaph itself will be moved about 500 feet to the south. To better understand this current debate, let's look to the past.
Since I'm going to be emceeing, I'll tell you guys just a little story. Some of you have probably heard it, some haven't. You know, back whenever the Travis Park Monument and TITFF were fighting to try to save it from the city of San Antonio, Roberto Trevino was pushing to try to remove it. You know, guys, he tried to remove it back whenever we had Mayor Ivy Taylor, who was a Democrat, and she told him, no way, we weren't going to go down that road. But guess who allowed it? Boston, native Boston, I should say, Mayor Ron Nirenberg. Within our fight, we joined up with the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and we tried to save that monument, but unfortunately, Hurricane Harvey took place. A couple of days after we left town, the city got word that we were all out of town helping our fellow Texans out. And so they took an emergency vote 3 days after TITFF left town. They took the vote, voted to remove it, and removed it in the dead of night. How chicken and cowardly is that? So whenever the COVID-19 orders went into effect, we started monitoring the Alamo cenotaph here every single day. And I'd like to thank all of our directors and
So these two groups were strongly opposed to the removal of the Travis Park Confederate statue. The city was able to remove it without any violence. So, what happens when the city removes the cenotaph? Randy Beal says the protests will stay nonviolent.
We get the word, we'll come and wrap ourselves around the cenotaph to block the cranes. And that's all we're going to do is block the cranes. It's up to the city of San Antonio to move us.
And it would be legal for the city to move them. But Beal would view that as violence. And as for Ahmad,
The point is to let the damned politicians, and that's who's doing all this, a bunch of damned politicians. The point is to let them know that, I'm sorry, messing with the Alamo is going too far. There are very few things in this life that are worth actually physically fighting over, but there are a few. And I don't want to speak for anyone else, but for me personally, this is one of them.
the city hasn't announced a specific date for the relocation of the cenotaph. Renovations to the main grounds continue. This is Texas Freedom Force says they are monitoring the site and are prepared to prevent the relocation when it begins.
They're probably drinking coffee, smoking big cigars, but I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But those people keep moving.